Hello and welcome. This is your weekly market wrap on Bloomberg Quint Live. Let's take a look at how the markets have fared today and through the course of the week. Starting off with the Nifty, well, we've seen a 1% up move today, and that's likely to have fared well for the index on a weekly basis too. But as far as today's concerned, Tata Steel right at the top, up 7%. We followed by Bharat Petroleum, GAIL India, ICICI Bank, JSW Steel, a lot of these companies from the banking and the metal space leading the index higher. On the losing end, we have some weakness in Tata Motors, but other than that, not too much to speak for. Let's also take a look at the broader markets and see how they have fared. And well, here we have a little more momentum towards the losers. Well, but gainers, we do have in GHCL, Alembic Pharma, something like an Aurobindo Pharma also stands out in trade, lifetime highs right now, and SBI Life Insurance, of course, on the back of earnings. On the losing end, Reliance Power, PC Jeweler, Piramal Enterprises on the back of poor earnings once again. 3M India along with Rajesh Exports also in focus. But what about the week? How have these stocks done? Well, through the course, and do remember that we are looking at an extended weekend, but you know, this as far as the Nifty is concerned, it's a flat, and had it not been for the gains that we saw today and yesterday, we would have likely ended the week in the red. So Ultratech Cement along with Grasim Industries right at the top. We've had some good momentum and good strength coming in from IT companies such as TCS, HCL Technologies, Infosys and Wipro, which have actually provided the bulk of these gains. On the losing end, again, Tata Motors is something that is bearing down, some sort of profit taking. Maruti Suzuki, of course, coming up with the disappointing earnings as well as an outlook for the financial year. And Bharti Infratel, which saw a severe drop yesterday. So that's what you have in terms of large caps. Let's also take a look at the mid caps, and the mid cap index, or rather the broader market NSE 500 index, actually is underperformed the benchmark. So Bank of Maharashtra, Indiabulls Real Estate, KPR Mills and Group Finance stands out in gainers, and on losers end we have Reliance Communication, HEG, PC Jeweler and Bharti Infratel once again. Now, this is as far as some of your stock movers are concerned through the course of the week. Let's also take a look at the events that have shaped trading this week. And before we do that, let's also take a look at the futures and options space and the kind of cues that we can expect as we move into trade next week. So, well, of course, this is your options expiry, weekly options expiry, and we're not seeing too much except for a little more writing around the 11,800 and 11,700 calls. And of course, on the higher end, if you actually consider the May 30th options expiry, you realize that you have maximum open interest in the 12,000 call, and that of course eventually will be the one where we have substantial amount of resistance. But let's talk about events then, and in terms of some of those which actually did influence the course of the markets to a certain extent. So, the first one on your screen is of course Blackstone buying 51% stake in SL Propack. We really didn't see too much of a reaction, but that is because the price at which SL Propack is being bought was largely around the current market levels. But moving on, we also had the phase 3 polls of Lok Sabha elections, and another interesting one for that matter. But in terms of other factors that are in play, what are we keeping an eye on when it comes to earnings? And well, we didn't, at least as far as the Nifty is concerned, we did have good earnings from Ultratech Cement and Tata Steel. From the mid-cap space, of course, Tejas Networks and Sterlite Technologies were surprised in the positive, as did Biocon. Of course, inline earnings, a whole host of them. So in the IT space, we had Hexaware, Tata LC, Cyient, Lux Industries from the consumption space, insurance involved, something like an ICICI Prudential Life, and Tata Global was mixed earnings. And on the losing end, or rather the weaker earnings, of course, Maruti Suzuki, Axis Bank and ACC to a certain extent. Let's not forget a very prominent name, Rallis India in the mid-cap space, also posting very weak earnings coming through. This is as far as your earnings are concerned, but as we move into the next week, what are we keeping an eye on? Among the Nifty companies, we are watching out for Kotak Mahindra Bank, which will come out its earnings on Tuesday. On Wednesday, which is actually a market holiday, is when we will have Britannia Industries also announce earnings. And moving on to Friday, we have Hindustan Unilever. Well, the biggest FMCG company by sales, and in FMCG specifically when it comes to revenues, HUL will announce earnings, and that should set the tone for a whole host of other relatively smaller FMCG companies in terms of what we can expect. But this is as far as your Nifty company earnings are concerned. What are the other companies from the mid-cap space that we are keeping an eye on? And Tuesday we will have earnings from TVS Motor Company, Ambuja Cement, Godrej Properties, of course, also stands out in trade. And Thursday again, we'll have the likes of MRF, L&T Infotech, Tata Power, Blue Star, Dabur, and it's going to be a very, very earnings-heavy Thursday for sure. Friday, we have earnings from Godrej Consumer Products, L&T Technologies, Tata Chemicals, and of course, Saturday, May 4th, once again, some earnings coming in IT Technologies, LIC Housing Finance, and Federal Bank. So we watch out for that. And apart from that, there are also a bunch of events that are lined up. So right at the top, we will have election updates across the macro data in next week. Well, Phase 4 elections of Lok Sabha elections will be underway, and I'll be heading to the polling booth myself. And in key macro data, watch out for core infrastructure industries growth numbers on Tuesday. And on Thursday, well, we'll get you the Nikkei India manufacturing data. So again, at least as far as macros are concerned, some of those data points may very well be important for the markets and the movements, and not just equity markets, but also for bonds and the rupee. Well, so we keep an eye on, so many factors as we move into a trade next week. And on that note, it's a wrap on the markets. With lots more lined up, stay tuned to Bloomberg.